Let me explain what the next steps are
Okay.
before we get started this morning. So, the next steps are, step one is discover Riverwoods. Step two, so in step one, they tell you about the church, what we believe, and you can't make a decision if you're going to stick around in this church and stay at the church and be part of the church if you don't know what the church believes, how it was founded, what it's about, and what our vision is. So step one is definitely a must. Now step two, you will do down here the following Sunday. Alicia and I teach that class. We'll teach it here, and then we go to Murray and teach it. They have somebody that teaches it then. Step three will be here as well.
Okay.
Brother Ryan teaches step three. And step four, when we go to Vision Night, they will do step four that Sunday at Benton. You'll do it there because Brother Joy teaches that there. And that's how that works. And what step two is spiritual maturity. Step three is learning what your spiritual gift is. And step four is about learning what mission God has for you, what God's will and purpose is. So those are required. Anybody that volunteers or leads here at any of our campuses, we require them to do those next steps.
Okay.
You have to know what we believe if you're going to be part
Sure.
of sharing the church and the mission. So if you haven't signed up for it, if you'll sign up on your connection card today, put step one, and if you have any kids, put beside it you and say 3 kids, 2 kids. They're going to feed you lunch. The lunch is good. Alicia and I, we might get a little something here for that. But you go to the 10:30 service at Benton, and immediately after the service, they have step one.
Okay.
Step two, the following week, after you can't take step two and not take step one. They're in order. You have to take them. You can't take step three if you ain't had two, and so on and so forth. So you take them in order, and if something comes up in the middle of it, we offer them again in a month or so, and you can catch the ones that you missed, the next one you missed, and follow through with those. But we'll do step two the following Sunday here, the second Sunday of August, and we'll do that at 9 o'clock here at the church. So you'll come early, we'll do step two, and then we'll go into service after that. So, and that's what those are about. So if you're thinking about serving here, if you're thinking about making this church your home,
Yeah.
I ask that you go ahead and sign up and get step one done next week.
Okay.
I know I've done the step.
You've already done step one.
And 2 down here.
You haven't done two yet.
I thought we'd done it.
No, Alicia and I haven't done step two here yet. This will be our first time doing that this month.
So, do we do it here or up there?
We'll do it here at 9 o'clock, the second Sunday of the month.
Okay.
And I'll announce that again next week, so everybody knows, and Darren will up there as well.
So next Sunday,
Next Sunday, you've done step one, you'll be here.
okay.
I'll be in bed.
You have to work that out. You'll have to make yourself available when you can take it. But you can't take the other steps till you take step one. So and we'll get into that. So today's message is titled Trivial Pursuit, and we're going into, we're continuing in our study in Ecclesiastes, and we're going to Ecclesiastes chapter 10 today. You know, the title of this series is Vaporous. Ecclesiastes is Theology of Nothing. It doesn't mean it wasn't an important book. It's a very important book in the Bible, and as we walk along through this, you've been able to see that. So I'm not going to read the whole passage today. There's 20 verses, and y'all want to get out and eat lunch sometime today, right? You know I get long-winded sometimes, so just bear with me. But no, we should be reading through Ecclesiastes as we've been doing this study on y'all's time, and I'm going to tell you need to after today, you need to finish up chapter 10, and you need to read 11 and 12 for the next couple of messages that are coming. So then we're going to break from this. We'll be done with this series. I think we're going to have a couple of free Sundays. And then in September when we launch, we're launching with a series called the I Am. And we're going to be studying in the book of John and the I Am statements that Jesus makes in that chapter. And that's going to be our life group series as well. So. And I'll tell you all some more about life group later on. So what we're going to look at today, when you see a pilot in the cockpit, he normally has on a headset, right? And the best state-of-the-art, I wear a headset at Murray sometimes. I'm going to order one for down here. But the best state-of-the-art headsets for pilots are made by a company called Bose. You know, when I was a kid, a Bose stereo system was pretty state-of-the-art, pretty high-tech. If you was bumping with the Bose, you was bumping, right? But These pilots, they use these Bose headsets, and they're extremely expensive. You pay for the name, just like you pay for green paint when you buy a John Deere tractor. You'll pay for the name Bose on your headset. So there's a reason why most pilots have the best headsets, though. It's absolutely crucial that he be able to stay in clear contact with the air traffic controller at all times, right? A pilot would never ever consider, even for a moment, flying an airplane without being able to talk to people who can always tell him what is going on around him, what is ahead of him, and the best route to take to get where he is going. Unless you were like Sully and had to land the thing in the river. I don't imagine nobody was guiding him into the river when he went through that. So, yet this world is full of people who fly through their entire life wasting it on trivial pursuits. They get no input from God. They don't seek any guidance, wisdom, or counsel from the Creator who made them. And see, they wind up wasting their life pursuing things that really don't matter and end up crashing and burning. I'm just amazed at how many people live their lives that way. I lived my life that way for a long time. See, you take off from childhood, you fly into adolescence, and you change planes, and you start flying into adulthood without ever thinking about the possibly that there is a divine air traffic controller that wants to give you direction and meaning and wants to let you know what your purpose is in your life. See, they never stop to consider there's a flight plan to follow so that life will mean something rather than nothing. See, in a way, Ecclesiastes is Solomon's flight plan from God. See, it contains directions on both where to fly and where not to fly. See, God teaches us lessons a lot of times by showing us what not to do, just as much as He shows us what to do. See, it describes the danger of flying into the mountains of materialism. It gives advice on how to avoid the wind shear of wickedness, and it tells you how to keep from crashing into the valley of vanity. See, someone has called Ecclesiastes Solomon's baccalaureate. That's a big hard word for me to say. You know what I'm talking about. You know, that speech you give in college, that baccalaureate address to the human race. His entire message can be found in this thought. If all there is to life is life, then life means nothing. To put it another way, the nothing life is the life lived by a fool. In this one chapter alone, Solomon uses the word folly 9 times. The word fool, foolish, and folly are used in the 3 books that Solomon wrote 128 times. Ecclesiastes is a look back at life through the eyes of the richest man who ever lived. He sat down towards the end of his life and he wrote a book about nothing. Well, not really. He wrote a book to show us how life can really mean something wonderful and be something great rather than nothing at all. And it is all a matter of exercising one thing, and that's wisdom. And that's what we've been talking about, right? Solomon is in the book of Wisdoms. There's several books in the book of Wisdoms. The first 3 messages we've heard from Solomon, the philosopher, that we've looked at here in this series is today we're going to hear from Solomon, the practitioner. And what does wisdom look like in everyday life? How would a wise person make decisions? How would a wise person work? How would a wise person run a business? How would a wise person even speak? See, all of these questions are answered in this chapter. See, Solomon gives some of the greatest practical advice on how to be wise and not foolish that you will find anywhere in any book. Really, that is a good definition of wisdom. Okay, I'm going to give you the key takeaway here. We're going to get it out of the way early. Key takeaway is wisdom is good advice applied to everyday life. Wisdom is good advice applied to everyday life. I don't know about you, but when I run across a good piece of advice, I like writing it down, or I'll forget it, stick it in a file, or put it on, type it on a message, and save it on my phone. I'll usually jot it down, stick it there where I can recall it later when I want to use it. And here are just a few good pieces of advice that I've collected over the years. Y'all ready? I'm giving y'all some good advice here. Here goes one. When you're depressed, listen to country music. The people in the songs will always be more messed up than you are. The second one I want to share with you, this is good wisdom here. The second thing, don't worry about flunking algebra. In real life, there's no such thing as algebra. Yeah, see, I'm helping you out here. 3, always buy your parents nice gifts. After all, you don't want to inherit junk, right? Yeah. So no, and if you're having trouble opening a child-proof bottle, just leave it in a room with a child for a little while and get it open for you. 5, don't bother naming your cat. He's not going to come when you call him anyway. And 6, good advice is like medicine. It's no good unless you take it.
Amen.
So here's some advice from the wisest man who ever lived on how to be wise. That's not me. This is coming from Solomon. The first point we're going to look at is take the right path. Ecclesiastes 10:1 says, as dead flies cause even a bottle of perfume to stink, so a little foolishness spoils great wisdom and honor. The picture here is easy to see. Imagine you have bought a bottle of very expensive perfume. Smelly good, I call it. You open it up, and floating on the top of it's a dead fly that has even started decomposing, right? And certainly that perfume would not have the same sweet aroma it would still have that same sweet aroma with that dead fly floating on top of it, right? Dead flies stink. We got one of them fly catchers from the chicken pen. You get next to that thing, you can smell it. They smell worse than chicken food. I'm telling you, it stinks. So, it wouldn't have the same smell. And Solomon's whole point is that little things make a big difference. That little old dead fly running out all that perfume. See, if you look closely, you will notice in life, it is a lot of little things that can make a big difference and cause big trouble.
That's right.
See, the person with lung cancer thought that one cigarette was just a little thing. The alcoholic at first thought that just one drink was just a little thing. The person looking at marriage completely destroyed thought that just one night would not mean it was just a little thing.
That's right.
The truth is that one wrong step can undo 1,000 right ones. So if you don't think a little things are important, ask Tiger Woods. See, a while back, Nike Golf sent Tiger some clubs he wanted to try out. These 5 prototype drivers wanted him to try who best to try them, and then a good golfer. And he practiced with each one, and he told them that his favorite, the favorite one he hit the ball the best with by far, was the heaviest. So Nike's club makers were completely baffled because they thought all 5 clubs weighed the same. They put the clubs on a scale, and sure enough, they discovered that Tiger's favorite was indeed heavier than the other 4 by less than an ounce. That amplifies the meaning of this next verse. Chapter 10, verse 2, a wise man's heart directs him towards the right, but the foolish man's heart directs him towards the left. See, that verse alone should tell you how to vote in November, right? You want to vote for the right. Just kidding. I don't believe Solomon was a Republican, nor was he making a political statement, though something I read recently about going to the right did fascinate me. It's an article in Parade magazine, and it's entitled A New Way to Save on Gas. Listen to this. Follow with me here. The delivery giant UPS thinks that making right turns instead of turning left at intersections can help the environment. Tom Dowdy, a UPS engineer, says the company redesigned its routes so that drivers would make a minimum of left-hand turns. As a result, the company saved 30 million miles off its deliveries in 2007, and thus saved the cost of 3 million gallons of gas. It also reduced UPS truck emissions by 32,000 metric tons, equivalent to the emissions of 5,300 passenger cars.
Wow.
So what makes right turns more energy efficient? Cars and trucks are not idling in traffic, see, when you're not waiting to turn across traffic, burning fuel and releasing emissions when they're waiting. And when they turn right as opposed to the left, see, turning right also is often safer because drivers don't have to face oncoming traffic to make a turn, see. So I guess there is something about going to the right rather than the left. Yeah, y'all get it too. I think it's a little silly. In all seriousness, in the ancient world, the right hand was the place of power and honor, while the left hand represented weakness and wickedness. See, the English word sinister comes from a Latin word that means on the left hand. And here's another way this verse is translated. A wise person chooses the right road, a foolish takes the wrong one. And that's the New Living Translation. Andy Stanley wrote a book with a very intriguing title, The Best Question Ever. It says, do you know what he said was the best question ever? It is this: what is the wise thing to do? I think that is good because the wise thing to do is always the right thing to do. Whenever you're dealing with a critical decision, even when you think is a little decision. If you're wise, you will take the right path. Yogi Berra once said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Life is full of forks in the road. It's full of forks in your dating life, your married life, your social life, and your spiritual life. See, you have to decide things such as, do I pad my expense account? Do I understate my income? Do I see this woman alone? Do I try this drug just once? See, if you're wise, you will take the right path and you will make the right decision. How do you do that? I'll give you a grid of 6 questions to ask that help me in my decision making. 6 questions to ask when making a decision. The first one, will this cause me to compromise my character? Second one, could this put me in a potentially bad situation? Third thing, could this hurt my influence with others? 4, would this go against God's word or God's will? The 5th one, will this draw me closer to God or farther away? And 6, is it illegal, immoral, or unethical? And I have to write these questions down because that's not been my way of life. I didn't care if it was illegal, immoral, or unethical. In the madness, I didn't really ask questions. I just jumped in and done it, right? But whatever happens from this point happens. So those are 6 questions that we need to ask ourselves when we're making a decision. The first thing you need to do before making a decision is pray. That's your first step. Don't do anything without praying. Don't get out of bed without praying. Don't make little decisions or big decisions without praying about it. God will help you through them. Next point we're going to look at, get the right people. Now, the first one was take the right path. The second one is get the right people. Chapter 10, verse 5 through 7. There is another evil I have seen under the sun. Kings and rulers make grave mistakes when they give great authority to foolish people and low positions to people of proven worth. I have even seen servants riding horseback like princes, and princes walking like servants. Now Solomon here is talking about leadership. There is one person who needs wisdom, and it is someone in a position of leadership. Whether it's the ruler of a nation, the CEO of a company, the pastor of a church, the head of a small business, or the coach of a team. One of the marks of a wise leader is he knows how to put the right people around him. See, the single greatest book on leadership that there is a book entitled Good to Be Great. It's written by Jimmy Collins, and if you've never read it, write it down. You might want to try to get it. If you got a Kindle, order it. Order it off Amazon, whatever you got to do. You need to read it. But one of the keys, he says, of taking a corporation or a company or an organization from good to great is to put the right people in the right seat on the bus. Here Solomon talks about the foolishness of not taking seriously the people in which you surround yourself. One of the greatest leaders of one of the greatest organizations I've ever come across once told me something about this matter of hiring people. Here's what he said. A people hire A people, and B people hire C people. See, one of the problems we got in government, churches, and corporations is we've got too many wrong people in big places. No matter how strong you are, how smart you are, or how good you are, you will never be stronger, smarter, or better than the people who are beside you and around you. That's the kicker. It's who you've got around you. A wise man once said, when little people cast big shadows, it's a sign that the sun is setting. It is not enough just to get the right people. If you're going to be wise in your leadership, you've got to be the right person. Chapter 10, verse 16 and 17. Unlucky the land whose king is a young pup and whose princes party all night. Lucky the land whose king is mature, where the princes behave themselves and don't drink themselves silly. Solomon's point is to the point. A leader needs to act mature. Not act mature, you've got to be mature. He needs to show self-control. He needs to be a person and have people around who know how to work when it's time to work and only play when it's time to play. What is the upshot? Leaders always act like leaders, whether in private or in public. To put it another way, character is important. That is why the most important question you can ask when you choose a leader, it's not about which party they belong to, which gender they are, which race they are, but who is the best person to lead. And I'm going to tell you from experience, a lot of leaders put people that bring around them to help them with their projects, that step up to help, like in church, to help lead and serve. They put people around them, but they try to be over the top of them. And they put those people beneath them. And if you put those people beneath them, then you're just trampling them. You need to put them beside you. You need to put them around you. In the Marine Corps, they taught us you're only as good as your weakest man. So if you've got to go back and get your weak man, bring him up there to get him up to the front with you, that's what you got to do. And in church, and we're all gifted different ways, and we're not always all going to be gifted to be preachers. We're not all going to be gifted to be teachers. Some of us are going to be gifted to be servants. Some of us are going to be gifted with tech, can work the tech booth. Some of us are friendly, can work the door. Some of us are some people I wouldn't put on the door because they don't have that welcome to Riverwoods is when I get out of here. What are you doing here? We don't have a spot for you in here. You ain't clean enough. You ain't pretty enough. I'm telling you, that door's open for anybody and everybody.
Amen.
I don't care if I look like you or not. You're still welcome. This is God's house. This is not my house. But see, we got to have those people around us. I can't do everything here. I'm not expected to do everything. God don't expect me to do everything. God puts people around me, and then it's up to you to see what their talents are, and see what their gifts are, see how they can join beside you and help you do what you got to do. Can't do this by ourselves. So, to be a good leader, a good leader has to follow. A good leader has to follow something, and if your leader's not following the Bible, then he's going to lead you astray. And God, He's going to bring them people around you. He's going to put them around you. And God's not going to do it all for you. You've got to put forth work. You've got to put forth effort. God will guide the right people to you, but it's up to you to do what you do with them from that point, right? See, it's not only in business, and I think it's more prominent in churches, you know. What am I just to stand up here and tell you to do this, this, and this, and look down at you at the end of my nose or off the tip of my glasses? If I'm going to ask you to do something, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to roll my sleeves up and I'm going to do it with you. I can't do everything that I ask everybody to do, but I guarantee you, up to my first 4 years at Riverwoods Church, I had my sleeves rolled up and I was getting in the trenches and doing all the things that I ask everybody to do. I've never asked anybody to do anything at any of these campuses that I haven't done or not willing to do.
That's right.
If I ask you to do something you can't do by yourself, I'll go get in there and show you or help you the best I can.
Tell them.
Amen.
And that's the sign of a good leader. And that's something that I'm learning. Leadership's not just about pointing, having somebody with a weak mind and a strong back beside you to do the grunt work. That's not what it's about at all. If you're not building up the people that God's put around you to lead and to grow and to because it ought to be run. If I'm not here, it ought to be the people that's around me, that's here, that's in positions here, that's stepped up and serving and leading. They should be able to do it if I'm here or not.
That's right, man.
This show should go. We have a guest preacher come in here, and I get lucky and get to go on vacation or something. When I'm not here, it should run just like it was if I was here.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and all the guest preacher's going to do is come in here. He's going to bless us with the word, and that's what it has to be. And that's the people that we want. And I'm not out here recruiting people other than God puts somebody in front of me. I ask them to come to church.
Right on.
And it's up to them. They've got to get a little fire. They've got to want to do it. And I can't make you do anything. I mean, I can tell you to do something. I can't make you do it. Well, I could probably if I tried, but I'm not going to. I'm not that way. It has to be something that we do. So we've got to put the right people around us. So the first is take the right path. The second is get the right people. And next, the third one is work the right way. Oh, this is a good one too. Scripture goes with this. It's chapter 10, verse 8 through 11. And it says, he who digs a pit may fall into it, and a serpent may bite him who breaks through a wall, and he who quarries stones may be hurt by them, and he who splits logs may be endangered by them. And if the axe is dull and he does not sharpen the edge, then he must exert more strength. Wisdom has the advantage of giving success. If the serpent bites before being charmed, there's no profit for the charmer. Ever heard of that? If you're going to be done, you got to be tough. Yeah, that's it. I think it comes in that verse right there. See, Solomon is describing people who perhaps work hard, but they don't work smart. Work harder, not smarter, right? One man dug a pit. Maybe it was a well, or maybe he was digging a place for storing grain, and he fell into it. Why? Because he lacked wisdom and wasn't watching where he was going. Another man was maybe remodeling his house and was tearing down a wall, sticks his hand in a hole, and a snake bites him. You know that snakes do often find their way into little hidden crevices and corners, and the man should have been more careful. Then there's a picture of a man who's trying to split wood with a dull axe. He thinks the harder he chops, the faster his work will go. I've tried that. That don't work. When in reality, he could be better off is if he quit chopping and start sharpening, right? You're only as good as your tools. Then I just love verse 11. Listen to this again. If a snake bites you before you charm it, what's the use of being a snake charmer? Yeah. I would say that's pretty profound. That's better than those 6 things I told you earlier, right? See, all of these things make Solomon's point, which is simply this. When using your hands, use your head. Don't just work hard, but work smart. Be prepared and look ahead, for if it makes things easier. Without question, one of the greatest college football coaches of all time, and boy, I just hate saying this, but Bear Bryant, he was coach Alabama, but Bear Bryant was one of the first football coaches to start watching film of his opponents. See, because he knew at the highest level of college football, preparation was everything. You had to have an edge. So for one of the biggest bowl games of his career, coach, he noticed that an opposing offensive guard put down his right hand when he was going to block left. And he put down his left hand when he was going to block right. Nobody else had noticed this. But he instructed his linebackers to watch that guard. They shut down the other team's offense, which was built mainly on the run because they already knew which way the play was going to go. He used his head. He was wise. Wise people plan their work, and then they work their plan. One of the greatest things you can do on a daily basis is to prioritize your time, whether it is on a calendar or a sheet of paper or on your hand, Post-it notes on the mirror, whatever you need to do. If you'll write it down, the 4 or 5 most important things you have to do on a given day in order, and try to do them in order, it will amaze you how much more productive you will become. Alicia and I, we stay busy a lot of time. Man, we get up early in the morning. Lourdes Hospital's close to us. We've done hospital visits and had breakfast and 14 phone calls sometimes by 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, and that's on our off day. So it's just a matter of doing those things and getting them out of the way and knowing we need to go see this person in the hospital. And we may not sit up there for 4 or 5 hours, but we go by and see them, we love on them a little bit, pray for them, and go on our way. And you know, that's just taking time. But a lot of times I don't even have time. My grandmother suffered from stroke, and Alicia's dad's had a stroke, and we don't get to spend the time that we need to be spending. A lot of times, and I know most of my steps count every day, but I can work time in there for them, and I'm going to have to start doing that. That's something I've got to work on. And I know I've got this, and this on these days. I know I've got Monday evenings off and Saturdays off, and that's about it. All my steps count, and I'm not complaining about doing things. I'm not trying to tell you I do all these things. What I'm trying to tell you is if I don't lay those things out and try to do things, and you know, I know I've got to go here and here, instead of me driving to Benton and coming back home and then having to go back to Benton, when I go to Benton, I can knock both of those things out. I know I've got to do both of those things that day. Or vice versa. If I know I've got to go to Fulton, or if I've got to go to Fancy Farm. It don't matter. You kind of map that things out, get that thing. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, however you want to say it. But you plan that stuff out. You make all your steps count. And then you get to that time. That's being wise. That's using your head. And then you'll get to enjoy some time in your recliner when you get there, maybe. So we've had take the right path, get the right people, work the right way, and last we have say the right things. Chapter 10, verse 12 through 14. Wise words bring approval, but fools are destroyed by their own words. See, fools base their thoughts on foolish assumptions, so their conclusions will be wicked. Madness. They chatter on and on. No one really knows what is going to happen. No one can predict the future. Well, I've been that guy too. Just rattling, not making no sense, and not getting nothing done, but I look busy, right? See, wise people understand the power of words. Wise people even know when to say something, and wise people know when to say nothing. That I struggle with too. One of the greatest ways you can measure your wisdom is through that little ruler that lies between your teeth. It's called your tongue. See, Solomon describes a person who not only doesn't know when to shut up, but doesn't know how to say the right things when he wants to. I have learned too many times the hard way that when you shoot from the hip, you'll shoot yourself in the foot. Almost every time. Someone told me one time that it's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you're stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Amen.
One of the greatest places of leadership training in America is West Point Naval Academy. When plebes begin their freshman year, they're given a rather small vocabulary to work with. They can only answer questions from their superiors in 4 ways. Yes, sir. No, sir. No excuse, sir. Or, sir, I don't understand. Yes, sir, and no, sir teach the value of being direct. No excuse, sir. Make sure they learn to think in terms of teamwork. And, sir, I don't understand. Lets them know that it's okay to say you don't know. Don't speak about something you don't know about. There's still another reason why you had better always say the right thing. In verse 20 of chapter 10, it says, do not revile the king, even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedroom, because a bird of the air may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say. That's where we get that little expression that we all think maybe one of our grannies come up with. A little birdie told me. I bet everybody in this room has probably used that somewhere before. A little birdie told me. That's where this comes from, right there. A wise person knows that just one wrong word said at the wrong place, at the wrong time, to the wrong person can become a bomb that blows up friendships, relationships, and families.
That's right. That's right.
See, you may think everything that I've talked about today is small ball, little stuff, not all that important, just be up here just rambling. But just remember this, can you name a creature that's the most deadly creature on earth to human beings? You might think of sharks. Somebody probably thought of a snake, a cobra, a bear. But the biggest killer of all is one that nobody fears. Throughout human history, mosquitoes have killed more people than the combined fatalities of all wars put together. The little insect will leave over 300 million people sick, and in Africa alone kills nearly 1 million children. You need to get all the wisdom that you can and apply it to your daily life, so you make sure that your life means something rather than nothing. Don't make your life trivial pursuit, but that wisdom should be the most important thing in your life. Man, I can tell you 2 or 3 instances where parts of this sermon has smacked me this week. Being leadership and being mature and not acting a fool and being mindful what you say when people are around. If you don't think people pay attention to you when you're in positions of different things, you're dead wrong. People really pay attention to you. I'm not talking about worried about what you post on Facebook. People pay attention to that too when you're in positions. And if you're supposed to be this or be that, and you're backsliding on, and you post this crazy stuff on Facebook, or you're around your crowd, and you're just cutting up and belittling people and talking crap about people, and then people's not going to hear what you have to say because they're just waiting for you to clown on somebody. They're looking at you for entertainment more than they are for guidance or anything. And man, I'm not no smarter than anybody in this room, and you know, I'm learning how to do this and learning all this, but man, I had a guy that's in our program, and man, our judge in our counties that's helping us with this recovery program where we started at, is helping us at Riverwood and Serenity, and help get ankle monitors going where people can get out of jail and be able to be at home. I know it's costly. I'm not getting into all those details, but man, I got a guy that's in our program, and he was messing up, and he called, messaged me and said, I just want you to know I like you, and I've been hired by this other judge's campaign record you and collect information about what Riverwoods is doing. And you're not going to tell anybody about this. You're going to keep this quiet, and I'm going to continue to stay there. And I'm going to do your program the way that I'm going to do it. And you're just going to be quiet, or you're going to become a casualty. And I'm thinking,
Judas.
what have I done to
Judas.
what have I done to be able, for you to record me that would be so detrimental to what I do or to anything, or to put the judge in any jeopardy? And I couldn't come up with nothing. He did tell me my tags were expired. Thank you for that. Because we got them fixed Friday morning. So he said I put a good kundo in. But he was just coming at me just like crazy, and thought he was a little out of his head. He'd been drinking, and so he was trying to find a way to stay in the program and to influence us. But there's going to be people that's coming out of the woodwork that's going to try to cut you down, and you have to have a little wisdom. You have to have some discernment to understand when these people come at you like this, all different kinds of ways. But you have to be able to sort that out. And you know where I get my strength? I get my strength from God, because I'm not real smart, but I'm not the dumbest tool in the shed either. The dullest one in the shed either. Been around, so I've got a little experience like that. But man, people just come at you different kinds of ways, and it's not like I'm high up on the totem pole, but I'm going to be on Channel 6 News because I was flapping my gums about something that's above my pay grade anyway, and I don't need to be in it. So, but, when it was first said to me, I was like, man, what have I said? Randy, you got to really watch what you say around everybody. You got to watch what you say. I have to watch. I'm held accountable not just by Brother Darren or by the admin team at the church. I'm held accountable by God, first and foremost. And what comes out of my mouth should be a truth of the word. I do share my war story sometimes, but it helps me not to forget where I come from. But I'm not trying to give the devil any glory at all. But I was one of Satan's soldiers for most of my life, a bigger part of my life than I've been on God's team. And I have to be mindful of that, just like when we're out at the Bud Hut and we're sitting around talking. Be mindful of your war stories that you're telling. That's not really the wise thing to do. You're just blabbering. You're not doing something. You're not talking about something to edify somebody, to help build somebody. Because you know what? Everybody here struggles with something.
That's right.
Amen.
Everybody's going through something.
Yeah.
We all might be going through different things, but at some point in our life, we probably went through that thing that who we're talking to is going through.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about how good it used to be, the good old days, we like to call them, right? And, all that foolishness we used to do. I had some good fun in the madness,
Not really.
but I was just chasing a parked car. Been chasing parked cars most of my life. But now my steps count. I plan out my steps. My steps have purpose. My purpose is that I can't save everybody, but what I can do is tell you what God's done for me, and that's the wisest thing that I can tell you is what God's done for me in my life, and what God saved me from, and what God's brought me from, and I can give you a little bit of my background and tell you and get my street cred established, but my street cred don't mean diddly squat.
That's right.
That's right.
What matters is my salvation. The salvation that God has given me that saved me from all that foolishness, from all that madness, from all that folly, from everything that was vain and vanity and just trivial garbage.
Tell them.
Amen.
That's the wisest thing I can do is share what Jesus has done for me. And that's the wisest thing any of us can do.
Amen.
And if you don't think making a little decision about what you're going to say or who you're talking to, if you don't think those little things make God's not going to give you anything big to deal with because He knows you can't handle the little things. So you got to be able to take care of those. And those are sermons that we've been having, and you can put all of them together, and they all fit every week.
That's right.
We need to be mindful of what comes out of our mouth. We need to be mindful of the people that God puts around us, those that He puts to help us serve, because I'm not a leader, I'm not nobody's, I'm a servant.
That's right.
See, if Jesus come down here and He died for our sins, He paid the price with His blood, He said, I did not come to lead, I come to serve, not to be served.
That's right.
So what does a little old Randy McDaniel think that he's so much better than Jesus? Because if I got what I deserved, and any of us in this room got what we deserve, we'd all be in hell with our neck broken.
That's right.
And this would be useless, and this would be vain. But God gives us a way.
Amen.
And that's what we need to be wise
Yes.
about, is what God gives us away. And we don't have any reason to stay stuck in the mud, stuck in the mire, say we don't have role models, say we don't have good influences in our life. If you say that, it's because you ain't been in this Word of God.
That's right.
He covers it all.
That's right.
There's no new sins that's come about. They disguised them a little different. They put bells and whistles on them, makes them look a little better, so you'll buy into them. But the same crap the devil was using 3,000 years ago when Israel was fighting the Lord every day, and he had saved them from some stuff, and they still kept going back to their junk and their foolishness and their folly. Man, if it's going to be like this when you save us, Lord, then just let us go back to where we was at in captivity. You know, at least we had 3 hots and a cot, right? See, and that was just foolish of them. You know, never at any time I think they were more than a 3 days hike to the promised land, but their disobedience and their stupidity, staying in their foolishness, not seeking God's guidance and counsel, God let them wander around in the wilderness for 40 years.
That's right.
Till there wasn't none of them that he saved still with them. It was all new ones there. That's who got to see the promised land. You want to keep yourself from the promised land? Keep falling around in your folly and your madness, and just ignore what God's telling you to do. Just ignore it when he's convicting you in your heart to do something. If you just keep ignoring it, he'll just keep letting you wander around in circles out in the woods.
That's right. That's right.
That's the foolishness that we're talking about.
That's right.
But if you want to get wise,
Tell us.
you need to get on your knees and you need to get right with God.
Amen.
If you've been saved and there's something holding you back from your relationship with God, get on your knees and give it to him.
That's right.
Repent of it, give it to him, and be forgiven, be forgotten and redeemed. And say, God, all right, what is my purpose? What is your will for me? Who can I help? What can I do, Lord? God don't need us, and when God saves us, you know, he uses us if we allow him to use us, and he'll bless us when he's using us. I promise you that. I'm more blessed than I've ever been in my life. And, you know, I just have to get out of his way. And sometimes when I get my big ideas and think I got it figured out and I have arrived and I get in his way and I fall flat on my face. Because I get unhumble.
That's right.
I get foolish.
That's right.
I get wise in my own thinking.
Right.
And it just makes me fall flat on my face. So you got to just be humble. Humility is not being stupid or being having somebody make fun of you, humiliating you. Humiliation is total dependence on God. And it's a hard thing to get to.
That's right.
Total dependence on God. Go to God before you do anything. And God, if God gets you to it, he'll get you through it. I promise. It may not always be pretty. Because we're going to fight and kick and still try to take control of things along the way. We're still going to try to be that tough guy or that tough girl. We don't need nobody. We don't need no help. We got this God. And, you know, when he saves us from a little bit, those foxhole prayers, oh God, if you'll save me right now, I won't never do it again.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody ever prayed that in here? I have. And five minutes later, when I get to feeling a little bit better and my belly's settled and I thought I lost my buzz, and 5 minutes I'm like, ooh, I need to get me a buzz. Yeah, how many people have done that? Yeah. That's our foolishness.
That's right.
The wise thing is when you ask for God for something, shut up and let him answer you.
That's right.
Amen.
Wait for him to answer you. Because there might be some stuff, some foolishness in your heart that needs to be gotten rid of so he can talk to you. Because the only thing that separates us from God when we get that relationship with him is sin.
That's right.
God's not going to bless sin. God's not going to tempt you to sin. God's not going to do anything with sin. He can't even look at it. That's how holy and pure God is. He can't even look at it. Think about everything that you do in your daily life that's still not fine-tuned, and I'm still a work in progress. I'm not fine-tuned. There's some things in my life that separate me from God if I dive off into them. Ask God to remove that stuff. And the urges to get into that
That's
stuff.
right.
And to do that stuff. I don't care if it's drugs or porn or pretty girls or you know, it's bad guys that just totally throw you off your game or you girls when you're driving by the construction workers on the road, you're running into the back end of the car looking at the fella on the side of the road. Hey, it happens to all of us. It's not just guys, it's not just girls. But all that's just foolishness.
That's right.
Take your steps count. Find your purpose. Not what you want to do, not what your big ideas are, but set your goals. Work at them. Ask God where He wants you. Ask God where He needs you. You don't do something and ask God to bless you. You see where God's moving and you jump in and you help. And He'll bless your socks off. More than you never know. Bow your head. Heavenly Father, I just come to you today, Lord. And Lord, I just thank you for this message, Lord. Thank you for the people here today, Lord. Thank you that I know that no one's here by mistake, Father. Father, I just